Chairman Abdullahi Adamu warns Tajuddin Abbas not to parade himself as Speaker. And later on the show, President Muhammadu Buhari defends huge debt profile incurred by his administration, says loans were taken to guarantee prosperity. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Dari Udufowokon. Journalist Hangout starts now. Right, let's begin in Ekiti State, in southwest Nigeria, where the political leaders are jettisoning bitter politics. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the June 2022 governorship election in the state, Bisi Kolawole, has commended the governor, Oyebanji, for his remarkable achievements within 200 days in office. Bisi Kolawole said the governor had demonstrated visionary and purposeful leadership so far. And the PDP governorship candidate, who said that the governor is committed to the progress and development of the state, added that Governor Oyebanji should be supported by all to ensure that his vision for development transcends party politics and egocentric tendencies. Babajide, let's begin with you on this now. What's your assessment, or what do you think are the notable achievements that Governor Oyebanji did in his first 200 days in office?
You know, let's even start with his brand of politics. The people who contested against him, who took him to court, he reached out to them, visited them, hugged them, starting with Shegwoni, then Bimbo Daramola. In fact, when they met Bimbo Daramola, journalists asked Bimbo that, does it mean you could end up in the APC? And he said, if we have a governor who is doing well, why not? We want to team up with such a governor so that the progress of the state can continue. And then he also visited Kolawole, who was the candidate of the PDP in the governorship election. So beyond even his performing his role as governor, he is showing that he's an apostle of politics without bitterness, which the late Waziri was known for in the Second Republic. You know, Waziri was the founder of the GNPP in those days, which controlled parts of the Northeast. You know, it was one of the dominant parties at that time. So he has really impressed people by the way he's trying to carry everybody along. As far as he's concerned, everyone should join him in building the state. And he's not, he doesn't have bitterness or animosity in his heart. He's just reaching out to these people. And at the rate he's going, Ekiti could eventually become a one-party state because his methods are working. You will find that even one of the reasons Ashwaju got tremendous votes in Ekiti was the role of the governor, because the governor is not behaving like the leader of the APC in the state. He's behaving like the leader of all. He's drawing everyone close to himself. And even debts that had been there, had piled up in terms of welfare of workers, he's gone ahead to clear them. And he has this attitude of personally supervising projects. You know, the way Fauci used to go around and physically present at project sites, he also has that. And he attends the meetings of the APC at ward level. So he's just
present.
Yes, you just know that this is a grassroots person, and he is accessible. He doesn't want to be a governor that people will find it difficult to get to him. So by attending APC meetings, even at ward level, you can imagine the kind of politics that he favors. You know, so and I'm not surprised the way it's been
celebrated.
Yes, in Ekiti State, because he has brought a refreshing style to governance, and everyone can see that this is a governor with a difference. And I'm confident that beyond even the welfare of workers, that for which is being praised, is going to also deliver in terms of infrastructure development and in other areas, because with people on his side, with the people on his side, he's a winner.
Right. Dari, from what BKO stated, he describes Oyebanji as a governor with a difference and someone who is ready to bring all sides together. But what are some of the key contributing factors you would say are aiding his success and progress in Ekiti State?
The major factor is the fact that Oyebanji has been a grassroots politician all his life. One thing people should always remember when you talk about him and Ekiti State is that way back, shortly before the creation of Ekiti State, Oyebanji was the youngest among the then Ekiti leaders of thought that fought and agitated for the creation of that state. As a youngster, he was right there in the middle. In fact, at the point, he was the secretary of that body that struggled for the creation of Ekiti State. So he knows Ekiti State. He was there at the very beginning when the state was created, and he has always been around contributing his quota either in politics or in community development. And his politics has always been that of locality. He plays local politics. He is a grassroots person, and he's still displaying it. Like BKO said, since his emergence as governor, he has not stopped attending the meeting of his ward. The APC at his ward level. And anytime the local government level is called, he will be there in his local government. So it will be easy to assess such a governor for the people, for the party, and even for non-partisan people of the state. So his uniqueness stems from his brand of politics, the grassroots type of politics that takes him next door to the people. He's just next door to every average Ekiti man. And that's something that is real. If you look at his governance too, you will see the calmness of Niyi Adebayo. You will see that suaveness of the immediate past governor. And yet, that energy, authority, that sagacity of Fayose. So he's more or less, like Biko said, a governor who will want to personally supervise projects on hand. He wants to see how you are doing it. That you can attribute to Fayose. And when it comes to being detailed about what do we want to do and why we want to do it, you give that to Fayemi. And that's maybe because he served in Fayemi's administration. He's continuing that we must know what and why style. And then with the people, in his relationship with the people, both within and outside the party, he is calm. I've met him on occasions. I've had the opportunity of interviewing, and we ask him, how is it easy for him to relate with it? Because you are talking with him, he's receiving phone calls, and you will know that those phone calls are from the very grassroots, from the people on the street or in the villages. And where he needs to speak English, he will do. Then before you know it, he will switch to his local dialect. And he's communicating about issues that even some local government chairman will feel, why are you calling me? Call your councillor. So he's a governor with a difference, and he's bringing about what Ekiti actually needs, because Ekiti is one of the most divided states politically over the years. Since Adebayo left and Fayose came in the first term, Ekiti has been quite divided. But here is a governor who feels there won't be anything wrong if we all belong to one political party and we all move Ekiti forward. And with the way it's going, I want to agree with BKO. With the way it's going, he has spoken to Oni. Daramola is listening to him. Now, Kolawole is visiting him. Note that he earlier visited Kolawole immediately after the election to tell him nobody lost, nobody won. Let's come together and do this. So I think he's somebody to talk about. And if he continues in this manner, then Ekiti is the better for it.
Right. So BKO, how does this transcend to improvement of infrastructural development in Ekiti State, which is what the people will definitely want to hear?
Yes, I was going to that. Nearly all the roads in Ado Ekiti, the state capital, have received attention, and all within a short time. And of course, nightlife in Ekiti has picked up rapidly because of the Light Up Ekiti project that he instituted. So these are little steps being taken, you know. But the welfare of the workers, you know, Ekiti is a civil service state. You know, they have manpower in every area. That's where you find hundreds of professors. You know, Ekiti and Okunland in Kogi State, they have the highest number of professors in our country. So he is already addressing, knowing that the state is a peculiar one, it's a civil service state, he is clearing salary arrears, deduction from workers' salaries, is paying back leave bonuses that he inherited. He is clearing those leave bonuses. Those were among the first things that he did. You know, workers have dependents. If you take good care of workers, then people will be able to say you got your politics right. If you turn against workers, or workers have reason to suspect that you are not on their side, you will not win an election, except if you rig. Because somehow, workers represent the voice of the people. They may not be more than 20,000 or 200,000 in a state, but they aggregate the views and the thinking of the majority. When a former governor, when it appeared like he wanted to sack local government workers, he was not re-elected. Look at what happened even in Osun. Civil servants turned against the governor. And the rest is history. So
people first.
Yes, you have to take care of those people, take care of their welfare.
Right.
They are the engine of growth in the state. The civil service drives development in any state.
Right. Point taken there. Let's quickly move on to our next issue of discussion, where we just have few months after the elections, the general elections. The Labour Party appears to be fighting for its survival. And following the Federal High Court ruling in Kano State that nullified the candidature of Abia State Governor-elect Alex Otti, the party has filed an appeal against the judgment. Responding to the ruling, Counsel for Labour Party Ume Kalu has filed an appeal on May the 22nd. He is urging the court to set aside the judgment of the trial court. Let me come to you with this, Dari. What was the basis now? Because we understand everyone was jubilating when the elections was held and Alex Otti was declared winner. But let's understand, what was the basis for the Federal High Court that nullified Alex Otti's candidature?
The Federal High Court in Kano.
Right.
Let's put it in perspective.
Okay,
you see, people need to really understand what happened. And it's simple. I have had people linking the judgment to Obi's case in the presidential tribunal, and I said no, that's nothing to do with it. What the people who went to court in Kano went to ask for, they identified two states, Kano and Abia, where the state chapters of the party, not the national. What is at stake has nothing to do with the national leadership. The state chapters of the party in these two states did not submit the membership registers to INEC as they ought to do. Allegedly. They are alleging that these membership registers, which are part of the requirements for fielding candidates for a general election, were not submitted in Abia and in Kano. And part of the things they presented before the court were letters from INEC asking for these materials. And the judge, in his wisdom, looked at it and said, if the party register is a criteria for you to participate or to field the candidate, and you didn't do that, then you have not been, you as a party have not validly nominated a candidate for any position in the affected states. That's the judgment. And what has the judge done? He terminated the candidacy of Otti and others. It is a pre-election matter. So he could not rule on the governorship election. He did not declare his election null and void, nor did he say he was not validly elected. No.
Right.
The judge did not delve into such matters. What he looked at was a pre-election matter before him. The evidence showed that possibly there has been an aberration of some sort on the part of the Abia State chapter of Labour Party in not submitting the party register. So that is what the judge ruled. And unless the party in their appeal
for Alex Oti's certificate of return to be withdrawn.
Right.
That is the sticking point there. He didn't give that order. That, despite the fact that the applicant sought the court's what was it called? That's despite the fact that the applicant sought the court's.
Is it what they use it? Is it prayers or something?
That's why now we are not lawyers now. That's why if I had, okay, let me just keep it simple.
Yeah, better.
PISS. That's why I found that the applicant in one of the reliefs that is sought before the court demanded that the certificate of return issued to all those candidates in those constituencies be withdrawn from them and given to the people who came second in the primaries. The judge fell short of giving that consequential order. Yes, he gave a ruling that it made the emergence of those individuals illegal. But he didn't follow it up with a consequential order by saying, okay, take the, as a result of my my findings, this and that, my conclusions, my conclusion is that they should take, INEC should withdraw the certificate of return. He didn't do that. So that in itself gives Alex Oti
a breather.
Yes, some form of breather. But they are not resting on their laurels. They have decided to appeal to be on the safe side. Because I've heard people say, no, he did not, his judgment had nothing to do with Alex Oti. He did not refer to Alex Oti. And I just shook my head. Everyone tries to interpret a judgment based on their emotions and sentiments, you know, which is not like that. That it didn't give a consequential order does not mean that it did not render, it did not pronounce the emergence of these people illegal. It is clear. Now, let me read what he said. Justice Unisa said, a party that has not complied with the provisions of the Electoral Act cannot be considered to have a candidate in an election and thus cannot be declared the winner. So that's what he said on the day. The only thing, he didn't follow that up by saying, okay, as a result of this is what INEC take, sometimes courts give such consequential strong order. For example, in Bayelsa, when the deputy to the Villion was discovered to be parading a fake certificate, the judges, you know, of the Supreme Court affirmed that the guy's certificates were questionable, and because you can't stand alone, it's a joint ticket. Once anything happens to your deputy,
it affects you as well.
Both of you are gone. So that consequential order, the judges gave consequential order that all the votes that APC garnered because you can't build something on nothing. Right. And as a result of that, a PDP that came second,
it emerged.
Their candidate became the winner of the election. You know, so in this case, he left OT alone. He didn't give a consequential directing that his certificate of return should be withdrawn. So at least it's still with him. A certificate of return issued by INEC can only be taken by a court of law. No one can withdraw a certificate. INEC cannot withdraw by itself a certificate of return that it has issued unless a court of law orders it to withdraw the certificate of return. So, as far as I'm concerned, OT is safe up to this moment, and I've been wondering why the case did not originate from Abia. I guess the person who filed this matter was just looking at, okay, yes, I'm concerned about Kano, but the biggest beneficiary of APC, PDP, LP's 2023 general election victories was Alex Oti is the biggest person they have so far. Others are senators, and
House of Reps.
Yes, he's the biggest. He's the biggest.
The victory of the Labour Party.
Yes, he's the biggest person they have in government now because Obi is not in government. So, and he was targeting that. But let me had him. But the case ought to have emanated from Abia. You know, I think that the same thing that happened in Anambra before the primary election in Anambra, the same thing that happened in which state again, where a case was taken all the way to Jigawa State. Somewhere in the east.
Originating state?
Yes, I think it's still Anambra. It's still Anambra, the governorship primary. They took a matter, those who challenged Soludo's emergence. They took a matter to Brinin Kudu in Jigawa State. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the issue of jurisdiction came in. Because, yes, you say it's a federal high court, but the rules of the court affirm that such matters must originate from the state because you have a federal high court in that state.
Absolutely. Indeed. Final thoughts on this before we quickly go?
I think I just want to speak on the issue of where it originated from. There is need for local standing. And I think the case in Kano was, the fellow may be concerned about Kano, but saw a similarity in what is going on in Abia and decided to sort of add it up. Or, being politicians that they are, perhaps there is actually an interest, ab initio. And if you look at the appeal filed by Labour Party, they are filing appeal on 5 grounds. And one of which is the fact that the court should not have entertained jurisdiction in the matter. And they are also concerned about the issue of time limit. They are also claiming that the suit was filed out of time. It is not an issue. It's an issue that should have been dispensed within 21 days after the case came. The issue came up, but long after that, they are coming up with this, and they are also positing that the trial court also erred in law, and that his judgment is a miscarriage of justice. Right. So these are the grounds, among others, for which they are seeking for the pronouncement of the judge to be overturned. So if you look at it, it is neither here nor there. Right. Some analysts insist that the only way out of this for Labour Party is to prove that they submitted the party membership register as at when they ought to have done. Right.
Let's quickly go on a very quick break. Still on to Journalists Hangout. We have more discussions when we return. Stay with us.
Solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
Now that Nigeria's next president has been decided at the poll on February 25, attention is shifted to May 29 Inauguration Day. the commencement of a new 4-year tenure of Nigeria's 16th president since 1960, when the country gained independence. It's going to be the 7th inauguration ceremony since the beginning of the Fourth Republic in 1999. And President-elect Bola Tinubu and Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima will take the oath of office. Join me, Nifebi Ogutoye, every weekday on TVC News for the countdown to the historic May 29 Inauguration Day, as we bring you all updates, political intrigues, and in-depth analysis of people and events that you need to know. The countdown to May 29 Inauguration Day, live at 6 p.m. every weekday, only on TVC News.
Now, there is still much to be desired regarding the battle for the leadership of the incoming 10th National Assembly. The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Adamu, has warned the party's anointed candidate for the Speaker of the House of Representatives position, Tajuddin Abbas, to stop parading himself as elected Speaker. Adamu gave the warning when Tajuddin led a delegation of about 50 members-elect across party divides on a thank-you visit to the APC National Working Committee at the National Secretariat in Abuja. Well, Adamu also warned supporters and lawmakers to stop addressing Abbas as the Speaker, as the ruling party is still having consultations with other aspirants and stakeholders. Babajide, now let's understand this. Why is it important to clarify Abbas' status as an aspirant and not elected Speaker, as we understand at this stage?
And because nobody has elected him. He's not a Speaker. He's, the party suggested him to the APC caucus of the House of Reps. It's a suggestion because they are going to vote. The party has to get the buy-in of the lawmakers. If you want them to vote for your choice, then the consultation must be sufficient. And you will recall that the chairman, the day the G7 went to him, he admitted that they did not consult. And how do you even determine that the people contesting, those are the first people that you consult? You get them to
buy in.
You get their buy-in, tell them, look, we want you to give up your interest in this race. This is the person that we want. But if you fail to talk to them, to the contestants, and you went ahead and just came up with some names, ordinarily, by convention, they are supposed to zone, not simply to handpick leaders for them. And this House of Reps has a reputation for repudiating whatever the leadership of the party does. Dating back to 2007, Obasanjo picked Patricia Ete. They didn't like the fact that he picked Ete for them. They harassed the woman out of the office, accused her of stealing, and she didn't steal.
Impeached, yeah.
In the end, after they chased her away, they came up with a clean bill of health. You say, Madam, you didn't steal anything. They knew what they were doing. They didn't like the idea of a third party picking their leaders for them. And you saw that in 2011, Mulikat was the choice of the party, the PDP. But what did we see? They revolted and picked Tambua. Tambua was whipped during a test time. So we could say that he had some experience. They picked Tambua over the choice of the party. In 2015, Gbajabiamila was the choice of the party. Again, they picked Dogara over the choice of the party. That in 2019, PDP wanted Chinda from Rivers State as the minority caucus leader. Again, they revolted. In the House of Reps, they revolted and picked Elumelu. So that is one house. That is one house with a rebellious tradition. And if you must get them to support you, you have to show respect to them. You have to reach out to them. Going around behaving like you have it all sewn up, even at a time when the national chairman said, look, we will reconsider this matter. I saw him speaking to them, say, look, because they told him that, look, on that floor, you are not going to be there with us on that floor. If you do not address this perceived injustice, I'm adding perceived now, then don't expect that we will support the wish of the party. So can they promise them that the matter will be addressed? The North Central has been insisting that it didn't get a good deal. It didn't get a good deal. What has never happened before was what happened this time. There is a difference between principal officers and presiding officers. Nigerians are modeling them up. Principal officers are just 4.
Yeah.
The deputy, the speaker, deputy speaker, the senate president, deputy, they are 4. And now you've zoned 2 of the 4 to the northwest. Yeah. It's unprecedented. But when you do that, you should expect a pushback. No matter what, you should expect a pushback. We have 6 geopolitical zones, for God's sake. Now, if you zone 2 principal, two presiding officer positions to 1 zone, of course, you will be resisted. You will be resisted. So, of course, this is what has happened. And given the performance of the North Central in the election, they won 4 out of 6 states. Not even the Southwest, where Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu comes from, delivered more than 4 states. Asiwaju lost Osun, he lost Lagos, his home state. But in the North Central, they won 4. In the governorship election, they added 1 more state. Today, by the time of the inauguration, North Central, APC will have 5 out of 6 states in the North Central. So they are saying, look, our loyalty over the years has got to be rewarded. Absolutely. That is the argument. They are not voting against the party. They are saying, look, you need to take a second look at this. And the chairman is saying, yes, we will take a second look at this. Because the alternative is 360, we are looking at 360 members. 360 members are not easy to get on your side. It requires a lot of hard work, including what you now call the greater minority. Right. So what it meant was, look, stop giving the feeling that this matter, yes, is done and dusted. You are not a speaker until that day of proclamation, until that election is held. So don't parade yourself as a speaker. Because I'm sure some of the people who are with him were already hailing the man. My speaker, you know the way they do. Absolutely. An aspirant wants to contest for governorship. He has no chance of winning. But you see Nigerians will be hailing, my God. The God. Your Excellency, sir. Your Excellency is in the mushroom patio that is not likely to win a single word. Sir, my leader, the Gov. Your Excellency, sir. You see them because they know that makes leaders happy. Nigerian leaders like psychophants around them. So once you continue to hail them like that, they believe that they are the best thing
that has ever happened to anyone.
Since sliced bread, and they will think that whatever they do is best. You
know, Dara, it can be really fascinating knowing that this kind of thing is happening when we've seen antecedents in the House of Reps. But what are the challenges or controversies you think might arise during the election for the Speaker?
VKO just nailed it. Whatever it is APC had in mind when they decided to zone 2 presiding offices to 1 zone. You see, Nigeria is a very peculiar country. Right. And incidentally, we have 6 zones. Ironically, we also have 6 offices perceived to be leading offices that people expect naturally should go around the 6 zones. The presidency, the vice presidency, the Senate president, speaker, Deputy Senate President, Deputy Speaker. So naturally, and over the years, I think that has been the case.
Practice.
You see it going round in a way. But this time around, it's different. APC as a party will have its reasons. The leadership of the party met and took that decision. They must have considered certain things. Be that as it may. You need to convince the people involved. I think whatever it is they had in mind, they've not done enough convincing the people. A good example, as we say in journalism, in news writing, a good indication that trouble is still looming is what happened on the floor of the House today. The incumbent speaker and the deputy speaker, Honorable Wase, is one of the people seeking the speakership, clashed openly in a manner that would not have happened but for political differences.
Yes.
And
one of the he sees Gwaja
as one of those who
Gwaja is
supporting
openly
supporting
Abbas.
And beyond that, BKO, I think Wase, like he said in one of his speeches, is looking at how loyal he has been to Gwaja.
Yes.
When Gwaja was minority leader and they became majority party, people felt that Wase should contest for the majority leadership. And then, way back, he openly said, you see it happen in other countries. Minority leader would just become majority leader and deputy would just, the guy's deputy. He stuck there. And then they became the issue of speakership. He didn't contest against him when it was
they prevailed on
him. He allowed him. They prevailed on him. He let go. And, they took positions in the same manner. Speaker. So he felt that having stayed in such loyal status over the years, Gbaja should naturally back his aspiration. But Gbaja being a party man who understands what is at stake, probably felt, look, let me toe the line of the party.
That is if it's not the initiator.
Well, we can't say. Okay, anyway, you said
candidacy of the
party. You said that is it. But you also know that beyond whatever is happening on the floor of the House, the interest of other party stakeholders are involved in what is happening.
Right.
See, there are people, I can tell you, this is something people don't want to talk about. There are people in the North Central who are comfortable with the way this thing is going. Some leaders who are also eyeing certain positions, knowing fully well that they can use this scenario to negotiate that since we didn't get that, we want this part. There is another position the North Central has been showing interest in. And then this is a negotiating power to some people, while it is not in the interest of some people. Today, once they made it public that, look, he is not the same Mr. Loyal anymore to Gbaja. And people on the floor there could see. And people took sides. There and then, we realized that he also has people who will go with him, whatever happens. Whether they are now returning members or outgoing members is what we may not know. Also, within the argument today, it emerged that Wase no longer attend pre-plenary meetings. Pre-plenary meetings are meetings held by the leadership before sitting. It was revealed that he no longer, probably because he felt that, what will I be sitting with these people doing? He's already feeling
that's
better.
why I said.
So emotions are still very, very high.
Last week that if I were the speaker, I would not make it so obvious that this is the person
that I'm supporting.
But is the one even taking him round, taking him to places?
Because he's doing it for the party.
No,
that's not how.
These are people that you have been with
all this while.
When you are facing serious heat, these were people who stood behind you and made sure that you survived. He knows what I'm talking about.
You can actually stay on the fence and all will be well.
You can still in secret promote
whoever you are supporting
without
openly
doing it the way you've done, because that open support. It's not as if Tambua. It's not as if Tambua didn't support what's his name, Dogara, but it didn't make it that obvious. It didn't make it that obvious because these kind of things ultimately
sends a wrong signal.
Yeah, bad blood that it generates.
And that's what we are seeing today.
Okay, I was reading an interview where the speaker, Wajabi Amila, said he regretted supporting Tambuwal to become speaker in 2011.
Oh, really?
Yes, because he discovered that Tambuwal stabbed him in the back.
Eventually.
So if you feel that way,
why are you not doing this?
Have you not done it to Wase, to Gagdi, and the rest of them? So this is the thing. There are certain things that leaders must be careful to avoid.
Yeah.
Especially if you are a popular leader.
Absolutely.
You've been a very successful House of Rep speaker. You know, no one can take that from you, that you are very good at your job. In that situation, what they want to see is for you to stay neutral. You understand? Let it be obvious that you are neutral. But you could actually be funneling support to your preferred candidate without making it extremely obvious. This one has been extremely obvious. Honestly, because I've seen videos, when you make it extremely obvious like that, those people that you do not support, people like Betara, people like Gagdi, people like Wase, they have influence. They are strong in the house. They are going to see you as an enemy. They are going to turn against you. So this is what we are saying. For me, the best thing for the APC is to find a middle ground on this matter. Otherwise, they will be embarrassed on the floor. Except if it's not this House of Reps with this history.
There is no way they would allow things to remain like this till inauguration day.
So they have to deal with it.
Ashwaju has to call the people concerned.
If the situation was remain, they need to pacify and be seen to have pacified others. You can't allow them go in this way. Anything can still happen.
Bukola's scenario was not as bad as
it wasn't.
The only problem they made during that Bukola saga was that they didn't announce their preferences on time. They wasted time. Bukola had worked hard, and a lot of those people that he had reached out to, they found it difficult to turn back at the last minute. That's what happened. It wasn't like this one. In this case, they started early, but you have a situation in which
let's move on to our next issue.
Even-handedness was not there.
Let's quickly move on to our next issue of discussion. Let's discuss the rising death burden in Nigeria, which has been a source of concern for most Nigerians, but the president thought otherwise. President Muhammadu Buhari has defended the huge debt profile bedeviling his administration, which is put at 77 trillion naira. Now, the president said the administration invested in infrastructure as a deliberate way to fight poverty and create jobs for economic development and, of course, prosperity. And he emphasized that while he shared the concerns of Nigerians, the debts are tied to projects that have been executed in very transparent ways. Dari, how would you first off assess the president's defense of this huge debt profile which has been unmasked by his administration?
He's Mr. President. And most importantly, he's the outgoing president now. This is the time he will have to face whatever it is history has written down about him. And he's only trying to, inject a few of his own opinion into history. That's the way I see it. He is a man who has worn the shoe for 8 years. He's the man under whose watch these debts were amassed. And he's now trying to tell you that we took this debt to ensure prosperity. That without borrowing, we could not have done what we did. And if we had been stagnant, prosperity will not come. I'll tell you, it's his word against Nigerians. That's the way I see it. I do not want to be his spokesperson. Neither do I want to be an open critic. But what I know is that in a matter of months, we will begin to look at the money borrowed and the work done. I tell you, and I'm speaking to Nigerians now, if we find the work done commensurate to the money borrowed, every government, everywhere in the world borrows money.
Right.
But where we cannot, if you ask me, I would ask Mr. President, with so much money borrowed, I did not expect that Shagamu Ikorodu Road will be left the way it is today. With so much money borrowed. I also do not think that with so much money borrowed, we should be talking about planning to commission Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. I would have expected that by now, the Oshodi-Badagry Expressway too will be in the Ekiti. And so many other roads like that. Personal expressions of mine. But if people are able to say, no, Daddy, don't look at it that way. If you look at the roads done, the housing built, the electricity given to Nigerians, and you look at the money borrowed, it is commensurate. Beautiful. I expect Nigerians to have less housing problems. If you have Federal Housing Authority giving out houses in Lagos
at an affordable
rate, people would suffer less in Lagos. I would have expected that with the money borrowed, we will have created so much jobs. Or maybe I'm not saying right anyway. Maybe I don't have information. So my take on this, I read Buhari's statement and I said, well, what would you have expected him to say? To tell you that I borrowed money and I frittered it away. No. So he has borrowed money. He said it is for posterity.
Right.
It's for us now to look at how prosperous we have been in the last 8 years. In conjunction with the money borrowed, then we can take a decision.
BQ, your assessment, how do you think the government's approach to infrastructure through debt compares to the countries that have achieved wealth through similar means? Let's start with that.
No, first and foremost, it's not all the debts that are tied to infrastructure. Certainly not. In fact, the other day the president requested for the sum of $800 million loan. And that is to continue his policy of conditional cash transfer. Conditional cash transfer.
How sustainable?
Is consumption.
Yeah.
It's not production. It is not infrastructure. So if you are asking for 800 million to give to 50 million Nigerians, I wonder how we are even going to 50 million families. I wonder how we are even going to identify those 50 million families, because it's not going to be easy. Now, if you are giving that money to them, you can't say it is tied to infrastructure. Not all of the monies are tied to infrastructure. You look at the loans that they took from the CBN, which is called ways and means. They call it ways and means. Is already in excess of 22 to 23 trillion naira. Again, I can tell you that a lot of that money was spent on recurrent expenditure, paying salaries and dealing with some other contingencies and all that. So I disagree that all of this is
infrastructure
tied to infrastructure. Certainly not. The truth is, the government has to admit that in the area of revenue generation, it didn't do well. It didn't do well at all. Countries of the world rely almost excessively on taxation. There are still so many avenues through which our resources are leaking that government has not addressed. And if you can address revenue generation, there won't be any need for you to be taking loans here and there. We have now reached a point that even creditors are afraid to give us loans. The last time we tried to take some money from China, they said no. We will reach that point because we are spending 96% of our revenue to service debt. And when we are talking about debt, we are debt service. We are talking about the interest, not even the principal.
Money borrowed.
Not the principal, it's the interest that is gulping 96% of our revenue. Look at in 2022, the Federal Inland Revenue said it collected 10 trillion as its receipts for the year, as revenue for the year, whereas our budget is 23 trillion. So you are talking about 21.83 trillion. That's our budget. We are talking about 11.34 trillion deficit that we have to deal with from the first day. We are going to borrow money to be able to even execute our budget. It is that bad. In the area of revenue generation, we are not doing well at all. That is one area the incoming administration has
Needs to look into.
Yes, because if we address that frontally and our revenue receipts go up, the hunger for debt
will come down.
For loans, will come down, because you will still be able to free some money to execute key projects. Then, if we also find a solution to this subsidy, because what we pay in this budget of 2023, we already plan to spend 6 trillion
on
subsidy. Now, this 6 trillion, if you were to invest it in critical sectors, it will make a big difference.
Right.
With that kind of money, you can guarantee water supply, even if it's borehole, across all our community. What is the total allocation for Ministry of Works, Federal Ministry of Works? About 400 billion. With all the roads in the deplorable state, you have just 400 billion or so to take care of all the roads. So we should be able to do something that frees more funds for us, so that we won't be running after more loans. Because if we don't deal with that, because I've seen even the KPMG and the World Bank, they've warned that if we are not careful, this 2023, we will exceed even our revenue.
Wow.
We will spend more than our revenue on debt servicing. It's that bad.
Indeed.
So when you say you are taking loans, this and that, there are implications. Every action comes with a reaction.
Right.
There are implications. You can't just be taking loans anyhow. You have to tell yourself at some point that enough.
To stop.
Because if you don't, the quantum of money that you spend on servicing debt will ensure that you can't free money for health, you can't free money for education, and all of those sectors will suffer. So I'm not excited about the fact that we have so much debt. People say every country takes loans, this and that. I hate to hear that. Don't compare yourself to other countries. South Africa, when in the first quarter, we spent 118% of our revenue on debt servicing. South Africa during that period, despite the fact that their loans are bigger than ours, they spend just 20% of their revenue. So let's not be comparing ourselves to other countries.
Well, that's where we can leave it for now. I can imagine, the matter of passion we have to talk about this issue. But let me thank my guests, as usual, Babajide Kolade Atitoju. We appreciate your insights as well, as usual, on the show. And Dari Odufuokon, thank you so much for all you said on the program. And that's about it on Journalists Hangout. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch a repeat broadcast of this tonight at 11. You can also join us again on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Esther Maparela. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
This is Nigerian Idol.
Season 8, Nigerian Idol, live and direct.
I don't know the words yet.
You have a great work ethic. Be passionate about what you do. Talent is never enough.
Wow! You're incredible. What? Cry glory. Oh, glory.
Wagba, this season, no greet anybody specially. Nobody face show. Nobody shoe shine. Not it white.
Okay. We are back again.
And I must greet you specially.
Brand new season starts on the 23rd of April, 2023.
Proudly sponsored
by Biggie Drinks, Nigeria's favorite, and Techno Mobile.
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
As they count the sectors.
It's been 3 decades of statehood in Yobe State, coupled with steady growth and development in all areas. A decade-long Boko Haram insurgency has also hampered the steady rise to greatness in the pride of the Sahel. But it's time for continuity, consolidation and innovation in Yobe State. Watch as Governor Mai Malabuni builds on progress made by past administrations and breaks new grounds with fresh projects and programs on Impact Yobe. Impact Yobe on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. and Thursdays 12:30 p.m. on TVC News. Join us.
Voted as the best TV station of the year, TVC News breaks into the core of every event as they happen, following all nationwide big and impactful stories. Without the news from every perspective, covering every human angle. I am Veronica, bringing you the news you would want to watch.
Have you been thinking of where to acquire knowledge without stress and inconvenience? Then what are you waiting for? The National Open